Okay, we're live. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Jiraiya from Commerce.js, and I am a front-end developer and designer there. Today, I'm really excited to kickstart our first ever official live stream workshop. One second. Yeah, so we're doing this workshop as part of a co-organization meetup along with React Dojo. And I'm really excited to have the organizer joining us today, Ali. So Ali is the founder and organizer of React Dojo, which is a React community here in Vancouver, based out of Vancouver. So it's a meetup that aims to run workshops almost every 2 weeks or once a month to gather the React community or for developers that are learning React for the first time. So it's really an inclusive community to bring in developers of all experience levels. So yeah, that was actually where I met Ali over a year ago when I attended one of his workshops. So it's really great that things kind of came back in full circle and that we're doing this together. So I want to introduce him and turn the mic over to him to give us a little bit of an introduction to himself. Yeah, so Ali, take it away.
Hi, thanks. Hey guys, my name is Ali. As you know, I'm running the React Dojo from 2016, and organizing. We organize a lot of meetup, around 35 to 40 meetup in Vancouver. Our goal is to help the developers to get into market and know what they want to do in future as a developer, or is it like we show them like is it the life they wanted for or not. And we started with teaching React Native, and we switched to React and some JavaScript mainly, and Express and kind of some backends. But now our focus is more React. We are currently 3 organizers. We unfortunately in the last couple of months we couldn't run in meetups, and because of this COVID and the mess right now we are in. But I'm happy me and Jorek could set up this meetup, and this is going to be a beginning of our new kind of like meetups. And I'm happy to hear. And thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we will be learning and building a Commerce.js React application here today. So for those who are joining for the first time, I guess, or have never heard of Commerce.js, I am excited to have Andrew, who is one of the founders of Commerce.js, joining us on the broadcast today. So we'll be popping him in on the stream to tell us a little bit about what Commerce.js is and who he is. So Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Good morning.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Jiraiya. Hi, Ali. Good morning. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, welcome everyone to this live stream. This is our first live stream, so it's really exciting to kick this off, and happy to be doing this with React Dojo. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Commerce.js and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Commerce.js is a headless API-first e-commerce platform, and we help brands and businesses and developers that build businesses build really custom experience-centric e-commerce. We started this because we felt that current e-commerce solutions are really restrictive and they were hard to work with. And so we've developed a really clean and simple e-commerce solution. It's just a different way of building e-commerce businesses and experiences, from selling single products in a really light way to doing fully fledged integrations with established businesses. So really excited to see the stream and be here to learn about Commerce.js and yeah, this is awesome. So enjoy the morning, and I'll be tuning in from the background. So over to you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dre. Thanks, Ali.
Good.
Have fun.
All right. Yeah. Have a good Saturday. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I will pop this right back. Yeah. So I want to get right to it. Yeah. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from. Good morning, good afternoon, or evening. So I want to get right to building this application. So first of all, I just want to go through some housekeeping, plug a few things. So at Commerce.js recently, we had a full overhaul of our documentation. And I will showcase that. Oh, excuse me. Our documentation here. We did a full overhaul where we really went from bottom up to build out a full documentation page with all the resources that you would need to get started with Commerce.js, from a quick start right here to our guides that we'll actually be building from. So I'll get right to that in a second here. So these are internal guides that we have built at Commerce.js to showcase in different frameworks what you can build with Commerce.js and how intuitive and seamless it is. To the side here, we have all our toolings, internal toolings that you can get kickstarted with as well. But looking at our SDK over here, which is what the main focus will be, is our Commerce.js JavaScript SDK. This is a JavaScript library that you would use as a imported module to build a check application using products, cart, and the checkout endpoints here. So today we are focusing our efforts on the products endpoint, where we'll be building out a products listing page. And you will see really how easy it is when you use Commerce.js SDK to do that. Yeah, so if everyone can turn or tune into, so if you go under commercejs.com/docs and go under our React integration guide, so this is where we'll be building our application from. So it might be a good idea to sort of turn to that. And I'll be referencing this throughout the duration of the workshop as well. So if you're lost at any point, just pop into this page, follow along. Yeah, so I'll be going through pretty much step by step of what we'll be building out. So that's one. And something exciting that we've done with our overhaul of documentation is that we've built out this whole community section. If you come under articles, these are all projects that have been built by developers from the community. So some really exciting and creative things here. So for instance, this one's a React and 3JS project here, and 3JS is a full 3D animation modeling framework. It's pretty neat. So there's really just, yeah, as creative and imaginative you can go with building an e-commerce website with Commerce.js. So
just one question, Joya. Like,
yeah.
these projects are open source? Everyone can just go clone it and then start using it for.
Sorry, that was the whether it's open source.
Yeah, so everyone can go and then clone the project and start working on top of this?
Yeah, so most of these are. So these guides all live in our domain here, but these are all, the repo source would be in the developers' GitHub accounts, but most of them are open source. So if you go into our articles, and then you pick out whatever projects you're looking at, and I think there's a source here that you can go right to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, feel free to come and check out the community index here. And yeah, if you, I was going to mention that, feel free to slide into the comment section if you have any questions throughout the workshop. We'll try to be as interactive and get to these comments as much as possible, but if not, we'll try to get to them in the end. But we would also encourage you to join our Slack community, which you can get to right on our website, and put in your email and then join our community on Slack. And we're happy to answer follow up with any questions that you have. And yeah, we're really interactive on our community page there. So yeah, we can't wait to keep in touch after this there. Yeah, I think that's all the plugs I'll do. But and yeah, lastly, actually, we recently did a kickoff to Hacktoberfest, and we've been getting some amazing contributions. So if anyone's interested, you can visit our Hacktoberfest page, and we still have a lot of open issues or whatever issues you want to contribute to, or bugs small bug fixes. Feel free to come into this page and see how you can contribute to our open source projects. Yeah. So the agenda for today's program, we've done our introduction and housekeeping. So getting right to starting our application. So we hope that you all have had a chance to go into the GitHub, to the repository, to clone the project. Otherwise, if you don't have your own local environment set up, I have put it into a code sandbox, which is an online IDE. So you can code right from there as well. But pop into this link if you haven't already cloned the project. Anyhow, we'll get to that. We'll get to those step-by-step, the installation and the cloning of the project. But if you want to get a kickstart on it, this is where you can get the starter template. Or you can visit this link. I can pop it into the comments right now. So Code Sandbox. Yeah, Ali actually runs most of his workshop with Code Sandbox.
Yep.
Yeah, which is...
You have... Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you ask?
Sorry?
Sorry, what did you ask?
Oh, yeah, I was just pointing out that you run most of your workshops on Code Sandbox.
Yeah. We started using it last year. It's very helpful tools, and so if for the people they don't have in my experience, a lot of people had a problem with this installing the environments, and then some of them had to use Windows or some Mac. And they have a problem. We had a problem to installing all those environments in their machines. So we started switching. We switched to the Code Sandbox, and that helped us to save a lot of time from the meetups. And it's very helpful use. Then also I'm mostly if I want to experiment something, and always making a project in Code Sandbox and start working on that. And then if everything's good, I'm implementing in my or in my work. So it's pretty useful tool. I really suggest you guys go and check it out and start using it.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great playground. I think for people starting out for the first time, it's good to kind of be able to jump in and develop right away. I think setting up your local environment, it's a whole beast in itself. So there could be a full course on that, but to come in and kind of just, be able to start developing an application and then see it live, a live working preview, that's pretty awesome. So, so the bit of the walkthrough of what we'll be touching on today, we'll build out the full application, which is a products listing page. And then we'll get to installing and show you how to install Commerce.js into the project, build out the page, and Ali will be walking through on how to deploy it to Netlify. So Netlify is a hosting platform where you can get up your project preview and have a working link to send off and showcase to people. Hey, this is, I spun up this React project in under an hour. So Ali will walk us through that at the end. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So let's get right to it. So I will get back to our project here. So I'm thinking I will go through the steps of actually cloning and installing the project. I have got one spun up here from the starter template, and we are actually using a neat extension here from VS Code. Ali is actually in my repository right now, so we're live sharing and we can live code together in VS Code. So I think VS Code is a pretty common standard for a code editor because of all the amazing internal and external marketplace extensions that really just makes your development workflow a lot easier. Yeah, see, that's pretty neat.
Yes.
Okay, so if you use a terminal or a GUI, is that what they call it? Yeah, an interface to do this, but otherwise, let's get right to cloning it. So if you visit that link, GitHub, we'll get to so github.com /JPass. I will drop this in the comment as well. Okay. Oh, yeah, thank you, whoever shared that. Yeah, I saw that was shared already. Okay. So we want to run the command git clone. So this will clone the repository into your local environment. And then paste in the URL. Oop. Okay. Yeah. So see, because I've cloned it in already prior to the workshop, just to have that ready. But if we clone it and you want to name it a different project name, you just trail it with whatever folder name you want to call it. Let's just call it 2. Commerce.js React. So I'm just doing this so we can go through the steps here. React. Commerce.js React start 2. Okay, so it's cloning it in. Next, you want to cd into that project folder, cd change directory into it, Commerce.js React start 2, and yarn or npm install, whatever package manager you're using. I usually use yarn. Yeah, so this would normally take a while to download the dependencies here. All right. I have some friends tuning in, so I don't want to point out their names, but hi, Ricky. Okay, awesome. So everyone's got that in here. Then we will want to, so the command I'm running here is a VS Code extension command. So code space period opens up the editor here, but you might not all have that. And you can actually just go to your Finders window and drag that folder right into your VS Code icon in your doc. So that would open it up as well.
Just want to add something here. If any of you cannot use that command, so if you open the VS Code, you can install that code command for your terminal. So with holding Shift and Control in the Windows or Command key in the Mac, and click on the P, and then you can just type install code, and that's a command code lines coming, and then you can just enter and install that command code to your terminal. And then anytime you can open the VS Code with your terminal.
Okay. Yeah, I have to remember to zoom in. So I just got a reminder of that, so that's cool. Yeah, so once you have this locally, or if you're doing out of code sandbox, then we can get started. So I'm gonna just close this just because I have this project up already with Ali joining on the live share. So I'll get back to my terminal. So yeah, what's great about VS Code is that it's got a built-in terminal. So for the remainder of the workshop, I'll be using this just because I can pull this out for more screen real estate. Pop this up. Yeah, so yeah, Ali, that's great if you're jumping in with any comments, anything as we're going through this. So
Sure.
I think you have a lot of value to add.
Yeah, so just I want to explain how is this project, and then if you allow me, I want to tell the users, tell the people what is our folder structure and what they can find in a different directories. So this is just clean React project. If you use a create React app application, so you will have most of the file except of these directories. But you can find app.js, index.js, and service worker.js, which we don't use the service worker here, and that's a different topic. But mainly what we're working on today is you guys have to know is a package.json. The package.json is the place we store our all dependency and all the scripts and some other configuration for the running the projects. And so you can see them here. So for example, the scripts is the place you can run your projects. For example, npm start or yarn start or npm build or yarn build, whatever the package manager do you use. And if we go another file, we have, I believe you wanna explain that em.example is just example of that environment file we have, which we stored some keys there. And also we have src directories, which is we storing all our codes, and then we inside that, so all the JavaScript code and all images, some people put it in a different directories, but personally I prefer put everything in as src directories. So that's a depends to you. And we have a style directory, which is you can find your style. We are going to use the SCSS, and I believe we have some SCSS file here, which is mixing, which we use for the media queries and others, and also style CSS, which import all of them and export them. And I believe we have app.js, which is it contain all our entry files, which is we're gonna write all the codes here, and this is gonna be technically this is gonna be parent of all our single web page application. And index.js is the file we mounting. Technically, it's a very important file. We importing the app.js, whatever we have in our application, and then we rendering it in the element called root in our index.html, which is you can find it in a public and here. So technically what we do is here we grabbing this element in the index.html where we are inserting all the code we wrote, all the JSX and other code we wrote here. So that's technically everything. If I miss something, you can just guys or Jerry, you can tell me, and I can. And we go through these files more. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's so great about us coming together to do this is that we're, Ali's going to come in with his React knowledge, and we're really starting this from the ground up, assuming that people are coming in to learn React for the first time with the base level knowledge. So we'll try to cover as much ground as we can. But as Ali mentioned, So a typical way to really get started with and bootstrap a React project is to use the create React app, run this, and you'll get that full template. But for the purpose of, just quickly going through this workshop and covering basis on mainly just, high-level concepts of React and Commerce.js, we have pretty much, we have done that. We have done up a create React app template, but we have conveniently pulled in all the styles here. So these are Sass, say CSS compiler. So you'll have all these styles to work with already, and then we can go through and start up from scratch. So as Ali mentioned, in our app, this is where we'll be putting out most of our logic. So Ali, you can type. He's in there typing it out. So
I'm not typing. I'm just watching.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
I don't type.
Yeah. Excuse me.
No.
So if I'm stuck, I'll be like, Ali, come in. Just pop your cursor in there and take it from here. Yeah. So let's get started on creating our page out here. So typically to start any project, it's quite cool to just be able to write as like a few lines of code and then see something and spun up in your local server here. So we're going to go and do up a hello world page. I think that's a small win to start. So we're going to come into our app.js. So if you don't have, so with the starter template, there should already be an app.js empty file. If there isn't, go ahead and create one in app.js under source. So first we'll want to import in the React module. React. So we're importing React in from the React library. And then we want to restructure our component from React. And just for convenience sake, so I don't forget, we are going to import in the styles that is already in this project. Let's see, yes. Let's create out a simple component. Ali, did you want to touch on how components work in React and why it is that we use components?
Okay. So when you're typing, while you're typing, I can just explain. So remember, like if you want to make any React component, so at the beginning you have to import React. Otherwise, it's gonna like complain, and then it's not gonna compile as a React component. So it's not gonna give you some feature which like come with the React packages for you. So that's about React and why we import React at the top. And then also, like you see, we import the component and we extended our class app to the component, which like that give us telling me this class has some special methods like a constructor as the dry typing right now. And like other like a lifecycle and render methods they give you that you can use it in your class component. And I just want to mention, like, for if you're using React, create React app, so in order to use style that kind of Sass in your project, so you need to install Sass, Node Sass in your repository. I think like we have it in the package.json, so you can just go there and then check it out. And that's it. Yeah.
So we're going to write out our first function. So render function is a function that will render out and display and return whatever it is that we're going to type out here. So so React uses So Ali, did you want to touch on JXX and what I'm writing out here that it's going to look?
I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but
okay.
JSX is technically allows the developers to write HTML in a JavaScript. And so, JavaScript doesn't understand the HTML elements. So in order to do that, we need to use a JSX, which is like come with the Babel, sometimes compiler with like a Babel, and then with that power, we can use that JSX and write the HTML in JavaScript. And if I'm wrong, you guys can correct me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's quite neat that, it's, if you've started out with development, learning, the foundation that you need, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, this is going to look familiar and a lot more easier to sort of understand. So it's rendering out and returning this template here. So let's go ahead and write out our first line of code, hello world. So if you save the, so what we'll need to do is every component you'll need to export it out as well. Export default app. Okay. Save this. And if all goes well, you should be able to yarn start it. This will start up your local server. And it will prompt you to go to a port. Oh no. Yeah, so the first little hiccup. So what have I done here? Commerce.js start source. Okay, yeah, it's the file name.
Yeah.
Styles, CSS, styles. There you go. There. Boom. So if you go to localhost, or normally it would be at 3000 for React apps. So, but I've got 3001 here. Hello world. Yay. So yeah, if everyone's got to this part, we're gonna go right back to our app and start to actually build out the application here.
Yes.
So, yeah, and we can end off at here, right? Everyone's got their app up. Okay, so yeah, as I've said, I should probably show a demo. If you go to the guide, you can see a button to click off to the live preview. So I'll give a sneak peek of what we'll be building today. Oh, not this, but this is a demo project that we have done in Next.js as well, which is a framework, a React framework. So you can get to this demo project in our docs. But what we'll be building today is this project. So just a simple product listing page with a hero. We'll get to that part in the end, but you can see all these products. So these are products that are pulling in from the Check API backend, which is the data source.
Right.
Yeah, so the images are being pulled in, the product names, the description, and the price.
Are you going to add the cart to it, or is it just going to be product?
Yeah, so this will be, we do have a cart follow-up guide, cart all the way to the checkout flow, which we won't be covering during this workshop, but at the end, of where you can pick up from, I'll drop some links in to go to our guide. Actually, if you visit our guide page, and then you go through this guide, so follow-up guides, it's all these follow-up guides that will build off from the last one, and we've broken this down to chunks, consumable chunks, so that you're adding on layers of logic, which is really how you should build out your app. You start from like bare minimum, logic and complexity, then you get to cart. Yeah, so these are covered in our integration as well as in the SDK documentation source, all the way to checkout. Yeah.
So as I understand it, it's like a step by step, and then you added one feature by the time to the repository. If someone's follow from the beginning to end, they will have a e-commerce website at the end, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
So go back into the integration guides. You can see the demos. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up workshop on this, a live workshop.
Of course they do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get. Keep visiting this page. Yeah. So as I said, if like throughout the workshop, if you're lost, just get back right into this guide, and you can see the steps that we're following. Yeah. So coming back to app.js, now we're really going to be building this page out from scratch. So now let's kind of circle back and talk about how we're going to import in Commerce.js to actually build out this application to pull data in from Check API, which is the e-commerce platform that we'll be using to source our data from. So I'll be walking through how to do your setup, how to use a public key, which is an authentication scope key that will give you access to, read and write access to use the data from the Check API. So first, let's step away from our app.js for a second here, and we're going to turn our attention to this file that's called .env.example. So this is a example file that's included in the repository, for you to, strip from and take from. And we'll get to that right down here. So an env file is normally where you would store environment variable keys, anything that's sensitive that you wouldn't want to commit out to version control. So it's where we'll be defining our public key access here, and this is where you can. So we've provided this demo merchant key that comes with a data sample, but after this workshop, feel free to go through our installation steps. If you come back to here, go through our overview account installation steps to set up your own Check account, and you will have access to your dashboard. Go under developer section, settings, and then you can get your public key to pull from. So let's go back to our terminal here. Control C to stop your local server, and we're going to run this command called cp, which is copying. So we're going to copy this template or this file into env, which is the file that you need for your node environment to recognize the public keys here. So env, and then now you can see that it was copied into the root of the project. And I wanted this here to make it easy, but normally in your env example, you wouldn't include your public key access here, but just to make it easy for us to spin this up. So so what this is doing here, we need to define the React app, check public key here, and then your value would be the public key that you grab from your developer settings. Once we have that, the next thing we'll want to do is now to get to injecting Commerce.js as a library that we'll be able to import in and use.
So just want to ask, I know you shared your credential for the public key. So is it available to use the user, our users use this as public key, or they have to go and make their own public key?
So a public key is provided when you open a check account.
Okay.
So that's available for you for authenticating your app. So it comes with a public key, a secret key, and a sandbox key. So normally a public key will give you access to build out, a simple client-side application to work with products, cart, and checkout data. So for your secret key, if you need to access, public key wouldn't give you access to endpoints such as orders for security reasons. So
so does that mean like I shouldn't use your public key for my repository?
Yeah, I mean, like for the purpose of this workshop. So this account already has the data that's provided. So yeah, so coming back to this, so all this data is already uploaded onto that account, that demo account dashboard. So it's easy for us to get working too. But otherwise, use your own. You may want to build up a project, e-commerce project, or a real e-commerce website, and of course you'll use your own data. But it's easy enough. Once you have this project spun up, sign up for an account, pop in all your data, and you just replace this key here, and you should be able to see your own products too. Those will be the one that will render out. Oh yeah, thanks for dropping the link. Okay, so after you've got this set up, we want to go back into source and create a folder called lib, which is normally where you would store an app checked out functions or any logic that you want to pull up from and import it into your components, just to keep it a bit cleaner. Oh, am I frozen? Oh, I was frozen for like 2 seconds. My screen. Yeah, so create a directory, a folder called lib, and then inside of that, we're going to create a JS file, commerce. And yeah, this is where we will need to instantiate our commerce object and create that commerce client here. So when everyone's got that, yeah, so this is where we want to import in our commerce module. So we do this so that, like I said, we can keep it clean from our app.js, and we don't have to instantiate it right in there and just be able to pull in this object into each of the components that will be using the commerce object and the methods that's available inside of it. Commerce from the package. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so before that, right now we're not working with any package. As you can see here, I totally missed one of the most important steps. So of course we'll need to install the package first. So going back to your terminal, so right after this step, we will want to either yarn add or npm. Can you guys see this? Like, is this big enough?
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for the viewers, that's all. Yeah, is that big? It's big enough. Okay.
Yeah, I can write the command for them too. So.
Can you see if you write it? Oh, unless it's lagging. Yeah, maybe we're not in the same terminal. I think it's lagging, or you don't have access to the terminal. So what we'll want to do is yarn add or npm install, and this should run. The command should run for you to install in check Commerce.js package.
Do you need to add the JS at the end of it?
Yeah, that's the package name.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so awesome. So now that we've had that, if you go right into your package.json, you should see this right here. So yeah, if I had gone into lib and try to import in a non-existent package, that wouldn't work. So now that we have this, we can go right back into importing it in from the package that we just, so this will pull up the module, import it in. Yes. And then we will want to, typing in the wrong file, export a instance, and instantiate for commerce, name it commerce. And then we're creating a new commerce, so creating an instance of the object here. And then the first argument we'll want to pass in is the key that we've provided to the value that we've provided to our environment variable here. Environment file. So React _app check public key. So we're making this as you want your either want to write self-documenting code or comment in your code lines to make it easy to be able to come back to and remember. So we know that we're pulling in our check public key here. So once you have that, save that. Now this file can be made available to all the components that we'll be using. So because we've exported it out as commerce, the variable name, so this is what we'll be using to call, to have access to the methods that will be in this object. So coming back into app, next thing we'll want to do now is import that module in now. So you structure this out, pull it in from our lib, Commerce.js. Yeah, there you go. So coming back into our app component, we want to now define our products. So because we'll be mainly pulling in data from our products endpoint, we will want to define out. So state is anywhere you would want to first define out any product, any data that you're working with that will be dynamic. So state is where your data will be stored, and React will update dynamically whenever the data changes or whenever there's any update. Did you want to touch on why we're working with state?
Yeah, technically, React will always check the state. If anytime the state a change in the component, the React will know that component have to update or re-render, and we'll run the render function again, and then whatever you have will update it in the DOM or in the page. So, and it says a state is just like an object of the data, storing some variable and some data, can be object or string or number, whatever the type of data you have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So first, when we define it, we want to define it as products. It could be whatever you want to name it, but products, and set it to an empty array, because this is where the products will be injecting into is an array of objects. So the initial state will be empty first. And then, next let's get to the meat of why we're doing this application is to pull data in from the check API. So right under your constructor, we want to create out our first Commerce.js function. So this is a function that I'm going to call fetch products.
Okay.
And inside of this function, we will use our first method. So commerce, this is being pulled in from the object that we created, first instantiated. So commerce and products list. So products list is a one of the method helpers in the products endpoint, and it's simply to list out a list of the products that you have available in your check backend. So if I go back to our docs, so at any point, feel free to refer to this. So this is one of the main methods that you use to build out a products listing page. So if you simply list it, it'll list out the full products data, but you also have the option to pass in parameters such as category slug, category ID, or a limit of how many or quantity of how many products you want to pull and render out onto your page. The default is 25. So if you want to be building out a categories page, you could pass in a category slug right in here. And that's another endpoint that's in our products data in list categories. So this is created. Sorry, is that loud?
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, you're pretty muted. Like you're in a nice echoed space. So list categories, this can be created at the product level in your dashboard. So if you've got a category defined for one of your products and you want to filter it out in your products listing page, you can do that. So coming back to it, but to make it more simplified, we're going to just list out our full products that we're working with. How many products? 10. Yeah. So coming back into it. So
you said default is 25, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you want to specify how many products they wanted, the API will return 25 products.
Yes. Yeah. Per page. Yeah. So we're accessing the products endpoint and using the list method here. And then we're going to, so we're doing this funky stuff with a .then, and this is because all commerce methods are promise-based, which means, anytime you are calling a function, anytime you're writing out a function, it is only going to resolve back with a promise. And once you get back your promise with the data, then it will be injected into the state that you've defined here. So we're going to trail it with .then. Products, this is what we are expecting to get back. Our products data. Open it up. And then we are going to write this set state, which is, because in React, you cannot mutate the state directly. So this set state is what we need to write out to be able to update, any of the state properties that we're working with. That's going to be dynamic. So anytime it changes, you have this set state function here, method to be able to keep your data updated by not mutating the state directly. So this set state, I'm going to call our products.
Just to add that, if you want anytime you want to change your state, you always have to use this set state. Otherwise, you're gonna break your application. The
Yeah,
only thing you're
exactly.
going to use to update your component or to re-render and then tell React, okay, this component is up to date. You have to use the this set state.
Okay, so products, which is our state property here. And we want to pop in whatever prop or variable we've defined here into products, and then pop the data in. So this will make sure that whatever is returned back from products here will be updated into our empty array.
Right.
Okay, so if we do that, kill it off. And of course, anything that's promise-based, you would always want to handle, any errors. If in any case you have errors or the data's not being returned, or the server is down, you want to be able to handle it gracefully with a. For now, we'll keep it simple and just console log out a error message in your console. But in a real world app, you would want to handle it with some kind of UI that will give some kind of direction to your users, which is what we're trying to create here, right? An experience, a seamless experience for your users to make them not think as much if they're working through your app. But for the sake of simplicity, we will console log out a simple message. There was an error fetching your products. All
So
right.
if any type of error happened, like we console log in the devtools, right? In a console dev.
Yeah. So on the client side, this will come out into your console.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of our first Commerce.js functions. It's one of the most simple functions to write out, and we're not working with any complex data just yet. But of course, creating this function doesn't do anything. It's simply just hey, I've created this method. I want it to do this. But the way an application work or React works is that you would need to call this function, to call it, to invoke it, to let it run in the DOM. So we are going to create our first lifecycle hook. So what is a lifecycle hook, Ali?
Okay, so like when you extend your app, your class to the components, that components allow you to use some lifecycle, which is like different methods running in a different lifetime of that component, which is like started with a constructor and some other component, like a component will mount and then render, and a component did mount whatever component is there, like a newest, like we have like a couple new life cycle, which is like for now right now we use the constructor, which is like kind of life cycle, and also component did mount. Component did mount is exactly happening after the render function is executed. So it means we not blocking any rendering, and after that we updating our state, calling our API to get the new data, and then we updated our UI or our UI technically. So
Okay.
that's component in mounts. Just you want to know is it's executing after first time render function is executed.
Yeah. So first it would be the constructor.
Yeah.
And then the render.
And
then all the lifecycle hooks, like the first one would be component did mount. So because this method won't need to wait for any type of interaction from users, so this is simply just displaying out your products listing. Of course, you want this to render out, your products to render out as soon as the user hits that page. So yeah, this lifecycle hook is the one that makes the most sense. This keeps hovering over. Sorry, question, Ali. Is your StreamYard or streaming platform frozen?
Very good.
Is it frozen on your end, the streaming platform? Oh, okay. I might have to restart it, but I'm not. I'm a bit afraid that I might pop off the studio, just because I also want to be monitoring the comments, but I'm not seeing any come in, and I can see that both you and I are frozen, and the screen has been frozen since like the first part when we were doing our app, Hello World.
YouTube, I checked the YouTube is fine, and
Okay.
there's no new comments. So.
Okay, that's fine. I might want to pop off. That might not be a good idea. Maybe I won't do that because it might just go offline. But anyway, I'll leave that to you. If any comments come up, let me know. I'm not seeing anything currently. Anyway, I'll get back into regular programming here, but just don't want to disrupt the process. So coming back into component dip mount. So as I've mentioned, this fetching the products here. Let's name it fetch products instead of fetch product. We are going to call a function. So this will invoke it and actually make it run. So you want to save this, and if all goes well, if we pop back into our server, that should be running unless I've stopped it. Let's keep it running. Oop. Yeah, so you want to make sure that this is running. Yarn, go back and yarn start it. Yeah, coming back to here. So you shouldn't see this anymore after it reloads. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've never taken that up, so you should see it. Sorry. Yeah.
Product listing. So.
Yeah, and to be able to see, an instant reward and a small win, you want to come into your inspector tool here if you're using Chrome, and go to your network tab, reload it. If that function works, you should be able to see that our products successfully pulled in from the API here. So you can see that under headers, what's up? Preview. So this is all the data so that was a successful request to the products endpoint to list out. So simply this is what it does. So you can see that this is a big, so one product will give you all these different properties that, now that you've had this, like this is where that rich data is going to come from when we start to render out an application with actual UI elements. So we'll be working with our product's name, name, description, and price. Yeah. So congrats if you've come up to this point. So now that we have this rich data, let's get back to our application. Okay, so we touched a little bit about components. For the design of an application in React, it's always nice to be able to abstract out different smaller components and be able to pull them in as consumable smaller components, subcomponents. So you're keeping your application as neat and as dry as possible. So dry, don't repeat yourself. So this is really the power and the beauty of React. So now that we have our app running with the data, we won't need that H1 tag. So we want to go in and just write out this component that we'll get to creating next here. So as you can see, the products list, this is where we'll be writing out the component for the list that will render out that full UI that you saw in the demo with the image, the product name, and the product description and price here. So components are, sort of like, custom elements. Like if you have a rubber stamp, you're using this rubber stamp and stamping it throughout your application to make copies of it. So we want to just go ahead and just write this out. Then we'll get to creating it next. But maybe before that, we can get to this part first. So one way that React passes data from component to component is through something they call props. What are props, Ali, and in
so
React?
Props is just the way we pass the data from the parent to the child components, and stand for properties. So technically, if you want to pass anything to the children's, you just name it and then pass the data to that component, and you can have access to that props through the children. With the children.
Yeah. So in the render function, what we're doing here is just destructuring out the products from our state just to make it cleaner to pull into our component instance here. So by pulling this out, in our props that we'll pass in, we don't have to do something like, so products. So this is the prop. It really can be anything you want to name it. So by deconstructing it out, you don't have to do something like this, a state to access the products.
Right.
You simply would just do products here. So that keeps it quite clean and legible here. So once we've done this, so of course this is a non-existent component right now, but just so we're staying on the same app page since we've been working off of here, now we'll go down to this child component that we'll actually be creating. So let's go back to our source. So currently, anything that you are abstracting out into component files, you want it to live in a folder called components. Yeah.
That name can be anything you like, but
anything,
it's usual to use like they name components.
Yeah, I like it because it comes with the custom icons that VS Code has. It's one of the extensions. Just it's nicer. It's prettier. So I try to name it with a conventional name. But like Ali said, it could be anything as long as you know where they are and what you've named it. But components makes sense. So now we want to actually create this component. Spot list. I want to make sure that we're going to stay on time as well. We may have run a bit late in the beginning, but I'll try to still cover as much ground. But I might be grazing over smaller details here just so we get through that full application, and you'll be able to deploy it out into Netlify when Ali takes over. So coming back into our products list. So earlier as we touched on, anywhere that you are going to be creating a React component, you'll need to import a class component. You'll need to import in component that we're using from React. It's probably easier if you're copying and pasting from other components that have done the same imports. And then to creating our class component that we've done earlier. So, I mean, this could be a functional component, but just so we're staying on the same vein, So a class component, you want to have a class component anytime you're working with, or anytime you want to work with changing state or lifecycle hooks. But if you're just working with, if it's a functional component where you're simply just passing in props for it to parse out in your parent component, you can do it as a functional component. But let's extend it out. So we'll get right to our render function. Every component will need some form of render function just so you're actually displaying out whatever you're going to return. Otherwise, your component will be empty. So same thing that we've done to our app, we're going to return. So as I'm writing out these elements, I'm going to have these class names that that I've defined just so I can pinpoint the elements to style. So I won't touch on that, but so if you see my class name, I call it products because this is the main, well, the parent products list, and we'll be pulling out individual products item as well. So we'll name this products list. I am defining an ID here, just so get to that later, but it's to scroll to the products point in our application. Actually, yeah. So we are going to open up a JavaScript expression here. And sorry, before that, as I've done with app, so you know by now that, anytime you want to keep your render function and elements clean, it's always a good idea to destructure out whatever state or props you're working with. So const, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Ali, point out my mistakes. Just point it out.
By itself.
Yeah.
The VS Code is very intelligent. So.
Yeah. And it's really odd that it's just, the screen is blown up in my face. Like and once I click on my shoulder, it looks like coding blind, but I am practically blind. I'm pretty blind. Yeah, usually I work with glasses, but I just didn't want the reflection of the screen. So const products is props. So instead of state, because we're not defining any state here, we're working with props. So this is products from props that we've defined in our application to pass down to this component here. So now that we've pulled that out, we can come back to this expression that I was about to write out.
So that products you destructure from the props is exactly should be name you passing to a product list, right? So
yeah, here.
Whatever name they do, like a product or prod or what
cat
name, so they have to be same name there. Okay.
Yeah, so it can be cat. Then I want to make sure that I am pulling it out as cat. You want to make sure it stays. It's the same variable name.
Okay. Thank you.
For simplicity, products. Awesome. So getting back to the expression that I've opened up here. So products is the same products that you destructured. And then we want to use this method called map. So did you want to touch on what map?
So map is kind of like higher order functions come with the JavaScript, but in the React we use to render a list of the elements in the page. So if anyway you have like a list of something and then you want to render it, so you have to use products.map. Or you can just make it like kind of like a list of array of element and then like load it or invoke it in the page. But this is the way everyone do. And in after that, you always make sure that each of the element has their own ID in order to React knows are these elements up to date or not, or keep track of the changes in each element.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so opening up this expression, so because this component, we only want to, for it to be sort of the wrapper component to render out the list. But, and again, in the same style that we've done for our app, we're going to stamp this instance of the component that we'll get to creating next. So it's sort of, so this is a child component of app, and then we're creating a sub-child component that will be, so this keeps your application clean by knowing that this component is just the list, and then we're looping through and mapping through all our products to render out each product item card. So Ali briefly touched on having unique keys. So anytime you are creating you're mapping out a list of something, of data, you always need to make sure that you have the key attribute, which is what will tell React of what needs to be rendered out when it's, because React's got a virtual React DOM, and it's able, so let's say you change up one product, or one product is out of stock, or somebody's trying, so React is able to compare and make the difference between what has been updated, and then only re-render out that particular product item instead of the full component. So the key always has to be a unique identifier for each of the item, each of the data property you're going to render out. So again, here we're defining a prop. So because this is a individual single product item that we'll get to creating. So again, we'll name it product, and then product, which is our prop here that we've defined. So that looks good. One thing I'm missing here is that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ali, I need this empty looking sort of tag here. And this is what React needs when it's, you need a parent wrapper anytime you're rendering out a node, right? Because React can only render out a single node, but especially if I'm looping through, it's on the outer scope here, right?
So technically, I just want to name that one that they're calling it fragment. So there's in the older React, you had to import fragment from the React library and at top, I like the way you did for component. But now this is, I think it was React 16.5. They add this element, so you can just use this as a fragment. But the way that you have to use, like if you want to render two elements in the same level, you need to wrap both elements in one fragment. Previously, before that, in React 15, we used we wrap them in a div. So we should cause a lot of empty div in the page. We should make it our DOM bigger. So now we use React that fragment or that one, so we don't need to do anything. So technically, if you don't add it there, and if you don't have any other element in the same level of your div with the class product, so you don't need to put that fragment.
Okay. So so I've cleanly laid this out. What do we want to do in case we forget? So just because we've already made a stamp of this component that we'll be creating next. Let's go back up to our import statement. So anytime you're importing in any components, any custom components, you always want to make sure that you're actually importing it into this file. So let's import our product item, which is not yet created. And then the path of that file, product item. Yeah. So this will make sure that, otherwise if you just try to render out this component, React will be like, hey, where is this component coming in from? So this will make sure that React's able to find it. So as we go, let's go ahead and continue to save it. So now going back to our components, let's create this single individual product item .js. Yep.
So this is until let you know, Anna Gordon commented it works good for me, and Arjun Dinat Dinga, sorry if I'm wrong, asked, will we have a meet and greet session later? And that's a question. If they ask if you want to meet them again and have a session in person, or maybe meet up.
Yeah, I mean, we're really hoping we can do this in person. Oh no. Yeah, so that's, the team and I, we're like, oh yeah, it's just a bummer that we can't be running these in person, but we really hope, we were saying at some point, hopefully, it's, hopefully by, sorry?
Right. So I think we have to wait for this pandemic is finished, and then we can just have a life and meet the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just, because I have my other screen as a separate display, so I've restarted. So I'm back. So this is me. Hi, I'm back. Yeah. It was just I wasn't able to have access to the. Yeah. There. Okay. Cool. Will we have a meet and greet session later? Okay. Meet and greet virtually for now. But we'll end off the workshop, and open up for any Q&A if you have any questions. And we actually have one of our teammates, Robbie. Everyone say hi to Robbie in the comments. He's, I guess, for now on standby if you need any help. But I don't want to have to pull him in. But okay, so he's here to point out any mistakes I have. Okay, let's get back into it. So we've created our product item component here that's currently empty. So again, let's just go and copy. Well, no, I mean, it's one thing, but it's fine. Component. Okay. Okay, again, why don't we actually make this as a functional component that would work. Okay, so const, because we're not working, as I mentioned, we're not working with any changing state. We're just passing props in. We will, so const, this is going to look a little bit like a function. So what we're going to do is...
while you're typing, I was just told between
please. That would be great.
Functional component and class component. So technically, a functional component is just pure function, like regular JavaScript function, which is returning some HTML element. And then it's opposite of the class component. It doesn't have any lifecycle, and also it's stateless. Means you don't have a state there, so you cannot use this. This that set a state. But recently the React add the React hooks which is like provide you some using a state in a functional component too, but that's another story. We're not going that way. So as you just know, you cannot use life cycle and state in functional component.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? We might do a follow-up refactoring of some of our workshops or guides using hooks, which, I haven't really dabbled much in, but I would love for it to be some kind of, learning workshop where we're doing it together. And I'm going to need your help on that too, Ali. Okay, so yeah, that was a great little description of, functional components. So because we've mentioned it, and to make it easier, I'm not doing that. Okay, so let's get to returning out. Yeah, sorry, before that, we will need to, again, pass in our product. This is coming from, we've defined it here. So product has to be the same product. Div class name. Yeah. So once we start back up our server, all these class names will make sure that our styles are lined up. That was provided. Okay, so this is opening up the individual card element. And so as you saw in the demo, the first thing that you see in that card is the image. So we're going to open up an image.
I like how you use the BIM as a class name. That's something we like. I use it 1 or 2 times. I really love it.
Yeah, that's a convention at work, which I love. Yeah.
So I'm sharing the documentation and the list page in the comment section. If anyone's interested to see and read more about the BIM and how that class name conventional naming works, and you can just follow up that link. Okay.
Okay, so this is where we're going to, so in your image, of course, source is a attribute that's in the image element here. So source, that's going to point to the product media.source, and this is coming in from the check API, which we had a look at. So if you go back to your data, you could alternatively, copy this whole data out and pop it into a file if you want to be able to have access to look at how it breaks out this product data. So if you go into one product, let's say, go under media. So you can see that this URL. So anytime you upload an image or any media into the check dashboard API, so this is it's in the check CDN here that you'll be able to have access to all these images when you open up an account. So this is where it's going to pull in from. The source will render out the URL. Yeah. I can have a closing tag here, right?
Yeah, you can remove that.
Okay, cool. So the first property that we're rendering out is the product image. And the reason why we're going to be creating out all this nested divs is for the styling. But you can easily go back into the guide and just copy this over. So that's all provided. Last name, product info. Break it out. and our name is going to be an H4. We're H3 for semantic purposes, but H3 product name. Yeah. The great thing about them naming convention too is also we can follow the same pattern of the data that's in Commerce.js. So well, in this case, product name, but product image or product media or whatever you want to call it. So it keeps it clean and readable. Product name. So opening up an expression here, render our product name.
So anytime you want to render a variable or some dynamic data in JSX or in a return function, you have to use a double bracket, a curly bracket, and then you write down your variable names. Like for example, what Joanna did for product.name.
Okay, we'll need to get to installing a package here to work with our description. So if you input in a description into our track dashboard, which is a WYSIWYG editor, it will, if you're trying to render it out, it will render out along with the HTML tags just because it's a WYSIWYG editor. And to make it easy, there's a convenient package that we can install to make sure that when this renders out, it's going to render out with plain text without the HTML tags. So we are going to go back to our terminal. So yeah, there's this handy package here. Control-C, go back to it. We will yarn add a package call. Yarn add package call. Oh yeah, it's kind of running along. Yeah, so that's why I was looking at the time. That was frozen at 10:45 in Vancouver, West Coast time, but it's actually 11:30. Okay, we'll run this through. String strip. So this package is called string strip. .html. Yarn add. Okay. Oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this library do like stripping all the HTML element from the description?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it gives you plain text. Is it right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So now that we have this installed, go back and you can see it right there. Yeah. So going back to our product item, make sure you import in that package so we can use one of the methods that we'll be using in our render. Strip HTML from string strip HTML. Nice. Okay, that looks good. Now, can I call I can't do this, can I? Can I do this, Ali, in a functional?
So you don't have this, you have result from strip HTML. So what you're trying to do, product the description?
Use this method and pass in that. To strip the HTML from the product description. I should be able to use that.
So yeah, sure. String HTML.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've got our description, the last thing we'll need is our details. Our price. It's the last thing that we'll want to use for our product card. We're on the last stretch here. Last stretch. We've been in the code editor, but soon you'll see something rendering out. Open this up. Open up a p tag. Product price. And then our price. So so the great thing about Commerce.js and Check is that we've made a lot of properties available for you to use. So one of them for a price property endpoint is you can format it out to any format you like in your UI. So going back to this, if we're looking at our price, price. Yeah, so you're able to work with any of these properties. So if you want your currency to render out in your UI, you can use that with code or with symbols. So in this case, we're going to use this last property with the $sign.
For this, you can set it up in the check, like what currency they use. Like if someone like in Canada, if we don't use the USD, we want to show for CAD.
Yeah. Yes.
So we have set up in the check dashboard.
Yeah, that can all be configured. So your currency, anything from your shipping. If you're going into the cart, into the checkout, there are a lot of helpers that you can work with. And again, I'll link off those guides, and hopefully at some point we can follow up with them virtually as well. So everything looks in place. Let's go ahead and save this. So we're not importing any components in. This is this is like the grandchild of the components. Here we've imported our product item in. Now let's go back to our app, to the most parent component here. If we go back to our app, and we can see that the app is returning this. Products list is returning the product item, and then we have our functional component here. So if all goes well, okay. Yeah, one thing, of course, importing this in, making a stamp of this, we'll need to import that into our app as well before we forget. Products list from components, products list. Nice. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. And I think we're ready to look at what we've worked on.
Yay.
Sorry?
Nothing. I just said happy. The results.
Yeah, let's see.
Yarn
start. So if you go back to your local server, it's always asking me, even though I think I have that open already. So the hello world should be gone. Oh no. Yeah. Products list. Let's go back to our app. Make sure I've imported that incorrectly. Products list, right? Products list from components. Oh, I don't need to do that.
Oh, you don't need to enter the JS.
Yeah, I don't.
So components.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be fine. No, it's the same directory.
Yeah.
Components. Oh, I think you put your components inside the lib directories.
Lib. Ah. Oh.
So you have to
Yeah.
move it
See.
to pad. Okay.
No one noticed that. No one noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's close this up. Component styles and our stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's save. Let's go back. Moment of truth. Nice.
Yes.
Look at that. Look at what we've all done today.
I
Amazing.
love how easy it is to working with that the check SDK and then fetching a data.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty easy and forward. I'm really like, I think like everyone agree with me. Yeah, that's.
Can you leave a comment? Great work, everyone. Yeah, like you know, like I mentioned, like Ali said, it's honestly, you know, I can say it really from not being biased. I can say it from experience that when I started out, well, you know, for a low barrier to entry products, our products endpoint is probably one of the most just intuitive endpoint you can work with. But of course, you know, just listing, if you want to be creating a full, you know, full blown out e-commerce application app, you really have all you need in the Commerce.js SDK here. So yeah, when I first started out with like no experience in how to work with an SDK library or an API even, well, even is an API, but you know, the Commerce SDK allows you to really easily, intuitively interact with a API data source. So yeah, come back and look at our documentation. You know, it's all laid out, and this documentation along with the actual Commerce.js source code is fully open source. So anytime you know, come in, feel free to, you know, contribute if you see an error in our documentation, or give us feedback on how we can improve on you know, the way that we write out our documentation. It would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, so this is where we're pulling in from our products endpoint here. So yeah, a follow-up would be if you go to our React.js integration and go to a follow-up. So the next thing would pick up from this project here, where you would start to add your cart functionality. So yeah, awesome. Getting back into our, yeah. So well, yeah. I mean, you can see that so this hero here. So this component is available in the Finish repository. So you can go and pull that from the repository. But this hero element here is simply just pulling in your merchant name. So it would be the same idea as accessing the merchant endpoint. So for example, at if I go back to, so you would simply do commerce dot merchants dot about, and this is all available in our documentation. And then you'll be able to access and have a hero component where you can access commerce, the commerce merchant name. Yeah, and again, if you go to the Finish repo, which I'll provide in the comment section here. But I want to wrap up, you know, this application and have Ali take over and show you how you can now put this application live into a live preview. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so this would be the last stretch here. Let me know when you're all set up.
Cool. So I think I need to share my screen because
yes, yeah. So I'll
so
pull.
just before that, so today what we want to do is we want to deploy this application to Netlify, what is the Netlify? Netlify is kind of like hosting company for the web application and servers, kind of static website, like maybe assets and stuff. And it's very useful. They have a very easy deployment, and they have a lot of like functionality which it can help you for and save you a lot of time, like auto deployment, like give you some Lambda functions to can run your like some backends on it, and also like give you forms and different stuff. And the thing I like about Netlify is it's on top of the CDN, and it's make sure your website is open very fast for different like the people in a different countries. And also one good more thing about Netlify is it's a like if you want to run, like it's free. So they have a free tier. So
Yeah.
which is like give you free usage, so you can deploy your, if you have like as many website you have, you can upload to Netlify. There's no limit or restriction. But but there is a condition where definitely like if you have a lot of users, so you have to buy kind of like a different package from them, like different plan of it. But if you want to just upload your resume or start some simple website for your portfolio, or any, maybe you have a business which like you have a list of visitors, so you want to make a website for it, and then you can just use the Netlify, and it's completely free. And you can set up your domain, you can set up a lot of things with things. So we go through like some of this process today, and we show you how easy it is deploying to that. So there's a two-way to do it. I want to show both of them, and it's like today. One of them is using the UI interface, which is like you just log into the website and then set up your Netlify, and then you connect your repository to that website, and then you just deploy your website, and easy. And second one is they have a CLI, which is like you can use a command interface with the node, like with the terminal. If you use it like me, if you like that, so you can use it, and then that's pretty much easy too. And let's go to it. Okay, so how can I share? Okay, I have that screen too. I want to share this.
Nice.
When I go to the Netlify, so you guys can see my screen, right? I share my screen.
There you go. Yeah, I added it. Yeah, so it's up. You can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not yet. Okay. Let me move my. Yeah. So just for that, if you have account, so you have to sign. If you don't have account, you need to sign up. But if you have account like me, so you just log into your account. And because I logged in before, so I have this website before. So what I do, I'm going to make another new site for that. So just click one click, and so if you're using different version control website like a GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket, so you can connect both three of them to it. But for now, we use the GitHub because of my repository in GitHub. So just click on it. So you need to authorize your you give the authorization to Netlify to your GitHub account. So because I did it before, so it's just pass on. But definitely, if you didn't do it and it's your first time, you just need to click on that one more time. And now, so here you see the list of repository of yours. So I have different repositories. So I just different accounts. So like one of the company I was working. So just loan. So I'm gonna search. So one thing is like you see the list of your repository, private or like public one. So you can just make or search through your repository if you have more than you have a lot like me. So what I'm doing, so I'm just searching Commerce.js and see. Let's see what is popping up. So I have two. So one of them Commerce.js Meetup, and one of them is Commerce.js React Starter. So let's go with the Commerce.js Meetup, which like I did work on this repository a little bit further last night. So I'm just selecting it, and so this is like the way you select your different option. So for example, first of all, like you can see who is the owner of this website. So you see like my name is popping up, and free chair. So you have just one owner, so you cannot add another person to it. But if you have, I think you have to pay $9 to $25 per person. If
Yeah,
you
I think
have more than
so.
one. So here you have, if you have a different branch, and then you have a branching for your, for example, you have like you work in a different branch in your repository, like develop like a test or whatever you have, or even a feature branch. So you can select that, but this repository, we have just one master branch. So we select a master, and then we go at the build setting, which is like if you have a custom script for your build command, like as you see in your, let me show you here. Okay,
Yeah, you want me to send?
uh, so let me go back with this one. So just I want to show you guys, like if you have a custom build command here script, and then you change it, so
Can you
you
zoom that in, Ali? Sorry, I know it's
oh,
gonna
yeah,
it's a
sorry.
quick one, but
Okay.
yeah, awesome.
So if you have a custom build command here, for example, like I have a different build command for different repository, for example, like I have prod, or maybe I have test different. So I have to say, okay, I want to build this command with this command, not like a default command. So here I go select that one. So for now, it's just like I don't do anything, because by default it's go to the build start. And if you have a different repository set up, for example, like after you build, you set up like I want you build directory be different, so you can set up that. So usually it's go to this or build directory by default. If so, in our case, because we have some custom environment variable, and we want to set up those, and so you can just come here and then add new variables. And because I don't have that memory, I'm going to check and copy the from m.example. And so my key is React app check public key. So I'm just copying it and pasting there. And also you need to have a value for it, whatever your check account is there, public key is. So I think I have this one. Is it like my account, which is don't try to use it. I'm gonna remove it after this. So so I have this value here, so that's it, and pretty much that's everything you need in the interface wise. And you see like the build command is running here, and if you want to see it, that's done. That was so fast because it's
Mm-hmm.
not application too much, so it's running. So if you want to see the detail, so you see like running these commands, and then start deploying site from this one, and then you just see all everything there, and come here, and this is the website, and I'm clicking it, and page not found. Probably I have some changes which like I didn't test them. Let's see if we can do clean repository somewhere.
Do you have
I don't think so. I have
the finish?
the finished one. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe I can just show like how can I get that too. So in my terminal, what I do, I'm just coming here and then I'm going out, and I have three colors. So I have this one. CD. I'm just cloning that repository again. I'm just finding it. Can you send
I have it in the comment section. Yeah, I'll send it to you in Slack.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. What is it? What is it? What is it? React products. Should be able to get to that. You got it?
Yeah. Okay, so what's happening here? Okay, so I'm doing that. So this is the way we do clone, and I'm going there, cloning it, and let's see the Commerce.js and product. And I'm just going to run it first to see if I can run it. But oops, run yarn. So I want to make sure that like this repository works for my in local, so then I will deploy it to the Netlify.
Yeah. See what Ali's done is that he's forked the repository and then played around with it. And we didn't really touch on the promise functions, but you could use an alternative to resolving the promises by using async await. So he's done that up, or you could completely refactor that repository to use hooks even. So it's fun to be able to play around with that and learn.
Okay, so I have this website open, so it means it works.
Nice.
Maybe
The code giant.
let me see. Yeah, so that's my
sweet, because you've signed up.
You see my product. Yeah, I
Yeah.
So that's my first product. So you see that. So anyway, like we after we deploy, we have to see this page exactly same in a Netlify. So let's go to do it. So what I can do here, because I don't have this one in my repository in GitHub. So what I'm doing here, so I'm going to open a GitHub. GitHub, and I'm making a new repository and then calling it a meetup on YouTube. Okay. And so this is my repository. So I'm just copying this command to connect it to origin for my repository. So what I'm doing here, so I'm going to say git remote add and instead of
you've double copied.
I know. I just want to remove part of it. So I'm changing like origin to. So now if I check my remote origin, so I have two origin. Origin first is the repository for the original repository. The second one is origin 2. So now I'm just going to add everything, get commit, and like first commit, and get push origin 2 and master. So that's what I do. So now if I go to my repository, if I refresh this page, I believe I have to have the same code there. So you see, I have everything here. So now what we can do, we can just connect this branch, this repository to Netlify. So here I go to my Netlify. So again, login and new site, and then GitHub authorize and say what did you name it?
What did you name it?
Something like that.
Meetup. Yeah, something meetup.
Like okay. So
YouTube.
And so you see, we have your build and then build, and I think we didn't do these two the last one. So, but this time is popping up by itself. And so show advanced, new variable, not this one, and go to my copying it and pasting it and then deploy.
Yeah, the last one didn't. Yeah, like the great thing about Netlify is that anytime if your deployment fails, the deploy log is really helpful. Pointing you to like some debugging hints. But I guess the last deployment didn't show.
Yeah, I think there's something was wrong with my repository. I have to check it.
Yeah.
I think I deployed the last time it was working.
Yeah. But no, this is great. This showcase that how you can just use this project repo, set up your own check account, inject in your own product data. I mean, just like what Ali's done here, and that didn't take him that long of a time. So you're able to spin up your own project, your own personal e-commerce project.
Sure. So you see, it's here is done. Oh, so it's not done yet. So it's creating optimizing for production build for your website.
Yeah, maybe the last time it was so fast because it just exited from an error, I guess. But anyway, I like this approach.
Site is alive. Site is live. So now we can check it. If I go to the website, so you see Netlify provide you a unique URL, so you can just click on it.
Yeah, it's cool that it's generated.
Yeah, it's generated. It's pretty cool and it's really fast, right? So the good thing is about this, like anytime now, because it's set up to my data repository, and anytime I push or merge something to my master branch, it will redeploy this for us, so we don't need to be worry and click and trigger deployment again and again. And it will update it automatically for you, so you can set up like different site for different repositories, different branches, like a develop, test, and production. So anytime your changes goes to those branches, it's automatically deploying different version for different site for you. And if there is a lot of things like going on here, so if you want to have a function like a AWS Lambda function or some backends to handling some data for you in a background, so you can create a function which is like free, so you can have it, but they have some limitation for the amount of the execution you can have in the free tier. And you have a form which you can use it for free, and also this one has some limit for the free tier, which is like 100 per, I think 100 per submission per free tier per month. And so other services, I believe, like some of them are like analytic, like it's you have to pay. And if you want to do some more setup, like here, so you can go see different setup for it, or if you set it,
or like change a custom domain or hook up a domain name as well.
Yes, exactly. Also, like if you have forms here, so you will see your form here, and then you can set some notification if someone submits, so you can just notify yourself with a Slack or maybe some email. Hey, someone sent me, so you can just go check it out. And this is pretty good, good one. So and now let's go very quick to do same thing in the UI. In a terminal. If I want to do, I will show you with the terminal how you can do that. It's pretty easy. So I'm playing my logs here. So what I'm doing is, so you have to install like Netlify CLI. For doing that, you can just, if you have a npm, so you have to npm install, or I use this I and dash G for it stands for global. It means like it's available for any internet, like no matter which directory you are in, you can use that. And so Netlify then CLI. So running this, it's installing Netlify CLI for you. So and then make that Netlify command accessible to your terminal. So let's do it now to see what will happen. If you guys have any question, so you just can ask me anytime. And yeah, there's no question. That's good.
Yeah, I think people might be popping off soon as well.
Mm-hmm. So now you see the Netlify is installed. So now if I use Netlify, I can do that. So what you need to do, you need to connect your Netlify CLI or like your terminal to your Netlify account. So for doing that, you just Netlify login. That's a command you can do that. So you see if I do run it. So because already I am logging, so already log in to Netlify, so it doesn't show anything, but you can, I believe maybe you can say log out. Yeah, so I log out, and then now I'm never logging in to show you guys like how it works. So you see it's open, and I give you authorization to that. So authorized guaranteed. So now I'm closing this, and I'm going back to this. So I log in, you see here. So now if I'm inside the projects, I want to initiate my projects, unify it. So this command is ask you some like give you some options. Let me do this one. So let me do this again. So you say like you want to make a new website or you want to connect it to same one. So because I don't want to make like a very messy in my Netlify account, so I'm just using the same one, connect to this directly to an existing site. And so you say like you want to select use current git commit origin, or you want to search by full partial site name, choose its written and update date. Okay, I'm going to do that one. So you see like all of them here it shows. I think it was this one, amazing novel something. I'm going to use that one. And so now I have my, its initiate. So you see like the CLI create this Netlify directory in my repository. And so in my directories, and then so go here and I have my site ID. And so now what I can do, I just can, I believe I can Netlify build is exactly command I used before. So let's see what's happening. So it's creating the repository for me. So it's running yarn build for me. Okay, so now you see my website is built, and I have my all asset and the files I need for running my projects. So I have that built. So now it's time to deploy. How we can do that? There's a two difference. So you can preview your deployment, and also you can deploy it to the prod. If your website like production, so if you change something and you want to check before apply those changes to production. So you always want to test it before in a live. So the Netlify provide you that. So what we can do, Netlify and dash deploy and dash open. So dash open is doing that for you. So you're running it, and it's provide you a URL. So you see this one is amazing novel, and but has some keys here. So it means it's this deployed, but it didn't deploy to your production version. So you can check it out. Okay, everything is fine now. I like it, and that's what I wanted. So now what I'm doing, so I'm just switching back to my terminal and then running Netlify and deploy
Deploy.
dash or dash just deploy prod.
Yeah, this makes sure you can preview it on staging before or locally before.
So now you see the difference between these two. So this one is giving me the website URL, which is like now it shows me, okay, so I have it. So now
Nice.
I deploy to prod. So
Nice,
this is
yeah.
a really easy, simple way to do it, and it's free. And check it out. I think like if you like to open some store like with the Commerce.js, definitely it's worth it to try.
Yeah, we can't wait to see whatever clothing line you're going to spin out and when you start to add your cart and checkout functionality. Yeah, I think we should wrap up soon. And I just want to pop this back. So yeah, thank you, Ali, for walking us through that. For the Netlify CLI, that can all be done without going to the Netlify interface. And if you're more comfortable in your terminal, just using the intuitive CLI to completely deploy up your live site. This is some of the ways that you can get in touch with us if you have any questions, as well for myself or Ali, or join our Slack community here. If you have any questions, or please share, any projects that you're building, or whatever other versions that you spun up from our templates, or any questions you have for our guides or community articles, and our Twitter handles at Commerce.js. So yeah. This ran a bit longer than we expected, but we really covered a lot of ground here. So we thank you for your time. Any other thoughts or anything else, Ali, to add?
So just like we have a small our own community and it's like channel, so you can find it in the meetup.com in description. So feel free to join
share that. Meetup.com React Dojo, right?
Yes. And if you have anytime in about React or any other stuff, so you can just ping me there, and I usually answer it in the same days.
Yeah.
But sometimes like I forget, maybe it takes more 1 day, but usually I answer it right away.
Yeah.
And,
so in the meetup page, you can get to the your Slack community, Ali?
Yes.
Okay.
The link is there.
Okay. Yeah, so join the React Dojo Slack community, as well as Commerce.js for any questions. So I think we should wrap it up and enjoy the rest of our Saturday. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope that at some point we'll follow up with another workshop on this, or let us know if you have any ideas of what you want us to touch on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, let's say bye. I'll end the broadcast. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.